Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the FDC. Today we are at Drift Park Grid C for the first test event of the 2022 Super Pro Championship. And with a fully built custom circuit, we'll be hoping to see some amazing runs, plenty of wall riding, but most importantly, some close door-to-door action. And not only that, we have put together some of the best drivers from around the world to compete in head-to-head battles for the #1 spot on the podium, as well as a certified spot in the 2022 season. Anyways, without further ado, let's take a look at the qualifying line and the track layout that we'll be running. So, unfortunately qualifying was held behind closed doors, but after an exciting qualifying session, let's take a look at the top 5 drivers going into the top 16. So let's take a look at our top 5 qualifiers. In 5th place we have Proxy Kev scoring 91.5 points. In 4th place we have Landon scoring 92 points. In 3rd place we have Daniel DK 69 scoring 92.5 points. In 2nd place we have the Sagittarius with 93 points, and topping out our qualifying session we have Rascal FRL scoring 93.5 points. Moving on, let's take a look at how our top 16 bracket looks. Battles to definitely look forward to. One to watch is Proxy Kev versus Triple One, two very experienced drivers that will be giving it 110% of the track to get to the top 8. Another battle to look forward to is Pandalim versus HMG and Sean, two very good drivers at the top of their game, but only one can make it to the top 8. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's finally get into our top 16 battles. Right, so kicking off our first battle for the top 16, we have Rascal FRL versus Liam W92A. Rascal from Bibber Boys in his Mark 5 Supra versus Liam from Havoc Factory in his S14. And as the lights go out, both drivers are going to want to get off the line quick, but Liam struggles to get off the line. As Rascal gets out to the wall, initiates nice but drops tyres as Liam takes a really shallow line to try and catch up, but it sort of affects him as he does drop again. As they get to the touch and go, Liam not quite making it out to the touch and go, but they both get out to outer zone 3 nicely, both to the clipping point on the inside nicely as they ride the wall. And it's all tidy from here as he makes the transition, tries to dive on the door but gets on the door, but on a really shallow line, and it's not going to be the best for Liam. Right now, as both drivers swap around, Liam's in the lead, Rascal's in the chase. Liam's going to want to get a really good lead run, as he did make a lot of mistakes in the first run. As he flicks, initiates it in, catches Rascal off guard, but Liam is on a really good lead line, getting right out to the outer zone. As they go for the transition, Liam makes it right out to outer zone 2, gets to the touch and go. Rascal absolutely misses it, but gets on the door, makes contact, and Rascal hits the wall. That's going to really affect his run, as Liam is keeping a really tidy line. Rascal is getting back in the door, and it's smooth to the end of the run. Let's have a look at the results. And it is Rascal FRL moving into the top 8 after a very controversial decision in the judging tower. Next up we have Daniel DK69 from Brazil, who moves on straight into the top 8 with the byron. Unfortunately, FR Legends Paraguay could not make it onto the line in time, which means Daniel DK will move on to the next round. And next up we have a very big battle, Triple One versus Proxy Kev, Antigua versus the UK. Both drivers best in the community, and as the lights go off, both of them are really going to want to get through to the top 8, make a statement, as Proxy Kev leaves the line in the lead, Triple One in the chase, as they both initiate. Right to the wall, Proxy Kev goes, really good, onto the outer zone, Triple One, couple angle corrections, but he's on the door, as they both transition, get out to outer zone 2, to the touch and go, as it looks like there's a bit of contact, as he gets to outer zone 3, Can they make the inside clip cleanly? Yes, they can, but Triple makes contact, massive contact, as Proxy Kev gets to the outer zone, makes the transition. Triple One is going to have to try and make a comeback from that. A massive mistake from him. Let's see what happens in the next battle. And as they swap sides, Triple in the lead, he is going to have to get a perfect lead run to make up for that mistake from his last run. As Proxy Kev is going to get right on the door. Triple initiates. Proxy Kev absolutely on the door. Triple One right wide on the outside zone. Perfect from him as they make the transition into outer zone 2 to the touch and go. But Proxy Kev doesn't make the touch and go. Gets right out to outer zone 3. And as they get right to the inside clipping zone, beautiful from the two drivers. Riding the wall. Proxy Kev is on the door, transitions. Oh, but he straightens up and loses drift. And unfortunately, that's going to be a 0 for Proxy Kev. And just as he thought, Proxy Kev takes the loss and doesn't move into the top 8 as Triple One makes the advancement. And Proxy Kev will be really disappointed after that one. And next up, we do have another buy run with GMXRD. Unfortunately, FRL Silver couldn't make it to the line, so he will be moving into the top 8. As GMX gets ready for his buy run, all he's got to do is just keep a clean, tidy run. Or is he going to put on a show for all of us? As he enters, big angle, gets to the outer zone, keeps it really wide on the outer zone, not dropping tyres. Absolutely smooth as we come into the transition to outer zone 2. Gets out to the clipping point, gets right out to the touch and go. This is an amazing run, but he makes contact with the wall on outer zone 3. Gets right out to the inner clip, really close as he gets ready to ride the wall. A little bit shallow as he makes the transition to the last outer zone, makes contact and just makes a little mistake at the end. Right, so next up we have the Sagittarius versus Nightmare FRL, a two-time FDC champion versus one of the youngest drivers on the grid again at only 14 years old. And as the lights go out, both drivers eager to get going. And they are off, but Nightmare leaves the line late. He's going to have to catch up. That's going to be a bad start for him. And the Sagittarius absolutely sends it right out to the wall, but drops tyres. Has to make a correction, but he's on the wide line as Nightmare FRL is trying to get back in the door, and he's doing well catching up as the Sagittarius gets right out to the wall. So does Nightmare. Outside zone 3, they smash it to the inner clip as they transition. It's all tidy, but that big mistake, could that make the difference in this battle? As they go through the final transition, Nightmare trying to keep it clean and tidy. As they finish up the run, both drivers giving it their all there. Right, so as we switch both drivers around, Nightmare FRL in the lead, the Sagittarius in the chase. The lights are out and we are off. Nightmare FRL going for the flick initiation, the Sagittarius getting right on the door. It's in line from Nightmare FRL and out of zone 1, but the Sagittarius right on the door. Nightmare FRL as they transition. It's a clean transition from both drivers. The proximity from both of them is good. As there's a little bit of contact, both drivers are doing really well as they transition. The Sagittarius absolutely on the door through the wall run, onto the second wall run. Bit of dodgy camera work there from our drone, and a little bit of contact at the end. How will that play out in the decision? And it will be the Sagittarius taking the win after a masterclass chase from the two-time FDC champion. So next up we have Lanzin from Brazil versus Mars 7 in FRL from Argentina. Both South American drivers, both in GT86s, but only one of them can go through to the top 8. And as the lights go out, both drivers eager to get going as they get off the line perfectly. Lanzin in the lead, Martin in the chase as they both initiate, but Lanzin initiating quite late there, but he's absolutely on the lead line. Martin getting absolutely on the door. Can he make the transition as he tries to dive on the door, but it doesn't work. They both go through the transition, contact on outer zone 3 from Lanzin as they both get to inner clip 1 as they go into the first wall run, and there's contact, big contact as they hit the wall. Wow, I'm not sure whose fault that was, but it did look like a lag problem from someone, and a 10-0 advantage to one of the drivers. Right, and as both drivers switch around, Martin will be taking the lead with Lanzin in the chase as the lights are off, and Lanzin eager to get going as he tries to jump Martin as they both initiate. Lanzin initiating late again, but Martin absolutely on the inner line, not on the qualifying line that the judges want to see. As he goes for the transition, gets to the outer zone 2, right to the touch and go. He's starting to pick it back up as there is a gap forming. Lanzin having to get back on the door, but he's struggling. As Martin makes contact with the wall, coming into the last outer zone. Can he keep it clean? Yes, he can, as Lanzin only just gets back on the door right at the end. And after a lot of controversy in the judging tower and a lot of talking, Martin Efferel will take the win and move into the top 8. Unfortunately, we weren't able to catch his bye run in time, but Pandalin 20 makes it into the top 8 after H&G and Sean wasn't able to make it to the line in time. Right, so for our final battle of the top 16, we have Guilherme from Brazil versus Curtis 96 Efferel from the UK and representing Sly Performance Drift Team. And just as we wait for the lights to go off, Curtis in the 180SX, Guilherme in the JZX, and we are off. Curtis with a little bit of a gap as they initiate. With a flick initiation, Guilherme gets right out to the outer zone. Curtis taking the inner line to catch up. Guilherme right on the qualifying line as we go into the transition to outer zone 2. Guilherme gets out to outer zone 2, doesn't quite get to the touch and go, but Curtis makes a dive on the door as they come to inner clip 1. Curtis getting right out to inner clip 1. As they go into the first wall run, Curtis getting absolutely on the door, trying to get onto the door, making contact even. But he's one of the most aggressive drivers on the grid, but we didn't see full potential from him. An absolute brilliant run from Guilherme. And as they switch sides, Curtis Efferel will take the lead as they both leave the line. Guilherme trying to get to the door as much as he can, not wanting to leave a gap. But he does leave a bit of a gap, but he's catching up straight away as he gets into the door of Curtis. Curtis, a little bit shallow without his own one, but there is a bit of a lag spike. And Curtis looks like he goes off the track as Guilherme gets right back on the door as they transition into outer zone 4. Absolutely on the wall. The proximity from Curtis is absolutely brilliant, right on the wall as Guilherme finishes up his chase. Brilliant run from both of the drivers. And Curtis Efferel takes the win. I'm not too sure about that decision myself. Probably something in the judging tower that we didn't see on our cameras, but Curtis Efferel moves on to the top 8. So here is our results from the top 16. We have Rascal Efferel going up against Daniel DK, Triple One versus GMX RD, the Sagittarius versus Martin, Pandalin 20 versus Curtis Efferel. All battles to look forward to. Hopefully no bye runs. Let's get straight into it. So, starting off the top 8 battles, we have Rascal Efferel versus Daniel DK69. Rascal Efferel representing the Bipper Boys, Daniel DK representing the Midnight Drift Team. Also, a previous FDC champion. Both drivers absolutely on their game this weekend. Both of them have absolutely brilliant lead lines. And Rascal initiates, but it looks like he drops a tyre, but no, he's absolutely on the line. Daniel DK struggling to catch up as they go through the transition into the touch and go. Both get to the touch and go, make the transition. Daniel DK is going to have to put a little bit more pressure as Rascal almost hits the inside clip, has to make a correction, and there's contact on the wall. Big contact from both drivers, as Rascal still manages to finish off his run with Daniel DK slowly following from behind. Right, so now having both drivers switch around for the second half of the battle, Rascal is going to have to put in the chase of a lifetime. As both drivers head for the initiation point, they both initiate. Rascal coming on in the inside line. Daniel DK on an absolutely pitch perfect lead line. As they go for the transition, Rascal goes for the dive on the door. Makes the dive on the door. Absolutely brilliant from Rascal as he gets absolutely on the door. The proximity from both of these drivers is absolutely brilliant as they get right out to the wall. Rascal absolutely on the door. The transition is insane from Rascal as he makes contact with Daniel DK coming into the final zone. Absolutely brilliant chase. And we have had words from the judges that it will be a one more time, a very weird decision in my opinion, but it does mean we get to see both drivers absolutely send it again. So as we get ready for our first one more time of the tournament, Rascal and Daniel are going to have pressure on them. They can't afford to make mistakes as Daniel is leaving no space for Rascal as Rascal flicks it in, gets right out to the wall. Daniel absolutely on the door, but Rascal taking that shallow line. This is not what the judges want to see as he transitions, gets out to outer zone 2, out to the touch and go, transitions, Daniel is absolutely on him, coming into the first in the zone, round the inner clipping point, onto the outer zone. Absolutely brilliant from Daniel DK here, textbook chase run. As they finish the run, absolutely brilliant from Daniel DK. Rascal is going to have to make a big reply for that one. Rascal is going to want to throw everything he can at Daniel DK to go in for the second half of this battle as Daniel DK goes for the initiation, but he's in the wall. Daniel DK has gone into the wall, massive contact. Let's just take a quick look at the replay just to see what happened. And as you can see, he goes to initiate, goes straight into the wall. almost spins the car round, but he's into the wall, into the crowd as well. Absolute scenes from Daniel DK there. And as you can imagine, it is Rascal FRL in his Mark 5 Supra taking a win and getting into that all-important top 4 spot. And next up we have GMX RD versus Triple One. Triple One in the S15, GMX RD in the GT86. Triple One has been absolutely on form in this tournament, but can GMX be the one to take him out? As they both leave the line, GMX in the lead, Triple in the chase. Triple with a little bit of a gap, but he initiates. GMX absolutely not on the lead line, taking an absolutely shallow line. Triple One being left in the smoke, but he's going to have to try catch up as he was on the outer line. As he makes a dive on the door, absolutely missing the touch and go. GMX trying to stay on that good lead line as they transition absolutely on each other's door, as there is contact on the wall, but they keep it going as they go for the transition. Triple getting a dive on the door, but he makes contact again. A little bit sloppy from both drivers there. Now for the second half of the battle, Triple knows he's got the advantage. GMX knows he's got the disadvantage. He's going to have to get absolutely on the door as he leaves no space. Makes contact with Triple going into the initiation. Absolutely messes up his run. Triple knows he's just got to keep it clean and tidy if he wants to get through. GMX is going to try and come back, but I think that's all she wrote for GMX RD. As he makes contact, but he's getting back on the door on Triple One. As he makes a little bit more contact, absolutely going aggressive on Triple One. As Triple keeps a tidy lead line going all the way through this track. And GMX, I don't think that's enough for him to get through as we go to the results of this battle. And it will be Triple One moving into the top 4, taking the win. Unfortunately, GMX just making too many mistakes in both halves of his run. And unfortunately, there is another bye run. A Sagittarius taking the second last top 4 spot. And with only one more space in the top 4, it's all to play for in our final top 8 battle. And last but not least, we have Pandalin 20 versus Curtis 96 FRL. Sly Performance versus the Biffy Boys. Two iconic FTC teams going at it once again. As the lights go out, Curtis is one of the most aggressive drivers on the grid. He's going to be looking to get right on the door of Panda as they both initiate. Curtis making contact already, making his statement that he is one of the most aggressive drivers on the grid. But I don't think that's going to help him at all as there's lag. Unfortunately, our drone cannot catch it as we're back in action. Curtis absolutely on a different line to Panda as he makes contact with the inner clipping zone. Panda keeping it clean as they come into the last outer zone. Curtis just absolutely far away from Panda. Unfortunately, we couldn't see what happened midway through that battle, but hopefully our judges did. Moving in for the second half of the battle, Curtis is going to want to put in a massive lead run here. Panda is just going to want to get on the door as they almost make contact before the initiation. Curtis just dropping the tyre, Panda getting absolutely on the door, making sure that he is getting through to the top 4 as they make the transition into the touch and go. It's a little bit sloppy from Curtis, but Panda is keeping it clean, making sure there's no contact. As they both get to the inner clipping zone alright, the transition from both drivers is perfect. And there's contact by Panda, but he keeps it as they transition. And Curtis keeps it clean on the wall, makes a little bit of contact as they finish their battle. And it's going to be an interesting one to see where this one goes, especially with the lag. And it is a one more time decision from our judges. Both drivers are going to be eager to get in that top 4 spot with another chance, especially Curtis, as there's no time to muck about. He slams it into gear, both drivers are off the line. Curtis is not going to want to leave an inch of space for Panda as he flicks it in, throws it into the outer zone 1. Keeps a really tidy line, Curtis having to take a shallow line to try and keep up and make up the ground. As they go into the transition, they throw it into the touch and go. They don't really get out there, but they get to outer zone 3 as Curtis makes contact with Panda. Throws it into the transition. It's sloppy from both drivers. Curtis absolutely wide and just not good on the outer zone. And then he slams it back into Panda, making his mark on Pandalin as they head into the second half of the battle. And here we go for the second half of the battle. Panda knows he's got that small advantage, but he's got to give it everything. He's got to make sure he gets to the top 4. As he makes sure there's no space for Curtis. As he gets right on the door of Curtis, Curtis absolutely on the lead line, drops a tyre, but Panda's making sure that he's sticking to the door. As they go for the transition, out to the touch and go. Transition again, Panda makes contact with the wall, but he gets back on the door, capitalises on his mistake. Transitions, it's a beautiful transition from Panda, absolutely on the wall, both the drivers. As they make the transition, it's beautiful, that transition from Panda. I think he's done enough to get through to the top 4. Is it enough? We'll just have to find out from the judges. And moving into the top 4, taking that final spot, is Pandalin, as he does some celebratory donuts around Curtis. But I'm pretty sure it's all in good taste. Both drivers at the top of their game. And here is our final 4 drivers. Rascal FRL up against Triple One. That's going to be an exciting battle to watch. And on the other side of the bracket, we've got Les Sagittarius up against Pandalin. Another Sly Performance versus Bippy Boys battle. A lot to look forward to. Now we're into some of the last battles, the most important battles of the tournament. A spot for the final. Rascal FRL up against Triple One. No mucking about at the final stage of this tournament. As the lights go out, both drivers bang it into gear, leaving at the same time. Triple One in the chase, Rascal in the lead as he flicks it in. Gets absolutely nowhere near the wall, but he drops tyres. Triple One's going to want to capitalise on his mistakes as Rascal just not on the qualifying line. Triple One not getting close to Rascal as he dives in for the door, but it's just not quite getting there. Rascal on a sloppy lead run as it's just not on it, makes contact with the wall. Triple One making contact with him, very sloppy lead run from Rascal, but Triple One sticks it on the door at the final part of the first half of this battle. Moving on to the second half of this battle, as the lights go off straight away, both drivers leave the line. Rascal not wanting to leave any space for Triple One as Triple flicks it in, gets right out to the wall. Rascal getting absolutely on the door. Absolutely amazing chase driving from Rascal as he tags Triple One, makes a little bit of contact, but it's good enough. As he dives into the door, makes more contact. I don't think that's going to help him this time. As they transition, absolutely brilliant lead run, pitch perfect from Triple One, getting right out to the wall, making a little bit of contact, but Rascal going into Triple again, only very slightly, but brilliant from both drivers. Just a little mistake from Rascal FRL right there. And taking the first spot in the finals for the first FDC Super Pro test event is Triple One. An absolutely amazing drive from him. Round of applause for Triple. So moving on for the final battle of the semi-final, we have Panda versus the Sagittarius. The Sagittarius in the Sly Performance powered Supra, Pandalin in the Bippy Boys powered S15. And as the lights go off, we are ready to go as both drivers leave the line and knock the car into gear. And it's a big entry from the Sagittarius, gets right out to the wall, but Panda's absolutely on him as they come into the first outer zone. The Sagittarius right on the outer zone, but Panda is leaving no space as they transition. It's a perfect transition from Pandalin as they both get to the touch and go. This is a brilliant run from both of the drivers. As they get to the inside clip, it's another transition from Panda, but he makes him a little mistake, hits the wall, hits the Sagittarius a little bit. As they go for the transition, the Sagittarius with an absolute textbook lead line, and Panda with an almost textbook chase. Now moving on to the second half of the battle, both drivers have put absolutely everything on the line in that first run. But it's time for the second run as Panda initiates. It's a big initiation, but it doesn't get quite out to the wall. As he drops tyres, the Sagittarius capitalising on that, getting right on the door as they go for the transition. And there's contact. Contact from both drivers. Looked a little bit like a bit of a hitbox issue. But wow, we're going to have to look at that on the replay. And as you can see, Sagittarius goes for the transition about a half a car length away, but he makes contact. Let's head over to our judges for a decision, and it will be Pandalin taking the win and moving on to the final up against Triple One. But before we move on any further, let's take a look at the battles we've had so far and the battles that are next to come. So here is the bracket after all the chaos that's played out. So for third and fourth, we have Rascal up against the Sagittarius, and for the final we have Triple One up against Panda. Let's see how this plays out. The battle for third and fourth place. Both of these drivers are so eager to get into the final, but just couldn't make it happen. But they still have a chance for a podium. It is the Sagittarius up against Rascal FRL. Bippy Boys versus Sly Performance once again as the lights go out. Both drivers knock it into gear drive as Rascal seems a little bit wobbly going into the entry as he absolutely messes it up. I don't know what happened there as the Sagittarius, it messes him up a bit as well. As they go into the transition, the Sagittarius trying to get back on the door as he manages it well. Dives into the door and he's absolutely on Rascal as Rascal shuts the car down. Ooh, I don't know why, it must have been a mechanical fault, maybe something else, I don't know. But very strange from Rascal right there as the Sagittarius just finishes up his run. Very strange what happened there as he leaves the room. And as you can see, he just shuts it down completely. No idea what happened there. So, ladies and gentlemen, here we have it. The final. Pandalin versus Triple One. An all S15 battle is going to be intense. Both drivers have been absolutely on form this weekend. And as the lights go out, both drivers are going to knock it into gear. Driving away, Triple in the chase, Panda in the lead. Panda flicks it in, gets right out to the wall. Triple trying to get onto the door, but he can't, as Panda is on a really good lead line here, right on the outer zone, so transition into outer zone 2. Triple missing that clipping zone, Panda getting to the touch and go. Triple not much proximity from him as they transition, and there's a little bit of contact and impact from both drivers as Triple gets back on the door. Transition is perfect, and more contact from both drivers there. Triple going into Panda right there, and I imagine that contact at the end there is going to not be in favour of Triple 1 there. And as the lights go out for the second half of the battle, Panda in the chase, Triple in the lead, as Triple flicks it in and initiates, gets right out to the wall. It's a brilliant initiation from Triple as he's right on the outer zone. Panda taking that shallow line, trying to catch up as they go for the transition. Triple gets right out to outer zone 2, to the touch and go. It's a brilliant transition from Panda as he makes massive contact with Triple, coming into the inner zone. As they transition again, Panda trying to get back on the door, dives in on the door of Triple. He's keeping it clean, and it's brilliant from Panda here, but that contact is going to be a big decider in this final. Both drivers absolutely brilliant, probably one of the best battles today. But ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, without wasting any time, let's just get straight to the podium ceremony and find out our top 3 drivers. So I can confirm, taking a 3rd spot on the podium after an intense weekend full of action-packed battles is the Sagittarius. He's been absolutely on it this weekend, and you have to give full credit to him. And now taking 2nd place on the podium, I can confirm it is Triple 1. After an amazing set of battles from him, he just couldn't make it to the top spot on the podium. And with all that said, there is only one more person left to say, and that is taking 1st place at the FDC Super Pro 2022 test event is Panda Lin 20. Give it up for Panda because he's been absolutely phenomenal this weekend. His chase runs have been absolutely brilliant. Same with his leads, getting absolutely door to door, wheel to wheel with every single driver. He absolutely deserves it, and we'll have to see what he can prove in the 2022 full season. Well, I guess if you've made it to the end of this video, congrats, you've survived. This video has definitely been a bit of a mess. It's been 6 months since I last uploaded. It's just a lot for me to learn, but, I want to try and get content out as much as I can. I'm just really inconsistent, so we're just going to have to try my best, really. I've got a full Super Pro Championship 2022 season on the way. Lots of content ideas, so hopefully I will be back uploading at least once a week is the ideal idea, but I don't think it's going to happen. I'll try my best. At the moment, there's just so much going on in life, so I'm just going to have to do what I can, but I definitely want to come to YouTube and make more content. So yeah, if you've got any criticism, that will mean the world if you could just share what can be improved. Obviously, there's a lot to improve with the championship. Commentary wise, that's for one, and also just sort of everything else, to be fair, but that will come in time. So yeah, there's nothing really else to say in this video, so if you have made it, fair play, and see you later.
Cheese.